A new witness takes the stand or has taken the stand this morning at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. This as the Commission enters day 51 of proceedings at the Bridgette Mabandla Justice College in Pretoria. Now, the Commission was established by President Cyril Ramaphosa following KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi's explosive press briefing in July last year. SABC News' senior reporter Canny Maphanga joins us live from Pretoria to bring us the very latest. Good afternoon, Canny. So today the person on the stand is Captain Laurence Makgotloe, and we've heard he's been taking the Commission through the handling of the Amman Swat murder scene. And among the many issues being asked or posed, questions posed, is that around the significant number of errors in his ballistics report, but also significant omissions. Just talk us through what the Commission has heard thus far.
Indeed. Good afternoon to you, Mfundo, and to the viewers at home. Essentially, this all relates back to the evidence of witness A, B, and C, the key investigators, or rather, if I could put it as more witness A and B, the key investigators in the murder of Amman Swat. You may remember that there was the Vereeniging case number, which was the actual crime scene in April of 2024, and then there was a Bromley case number, which is where they found those used cartridges. I think it was 15 used cartridges in the vehicle of one of the suspects at the time, who's now one of the accused in the matter. So essentially, we're looking at the ballistics reports and the exercise there of it and the conducting of the report from the vantage point of the individual who was essentially accused of manipulating the reports and subsequently derailing or allegedly sabotaging the Amman Swat murder case. You may remember at the time that witness A and B were discussing the kind of alleged interference they experienced while conducting investigations into these cases that touched on these alleged cartel members. And they seemed to have, I guess, a lot of challenges in going through that case, and they experienced I wouldn't put it as paranoia, Mfundo, but they were suspicious of all the different acts that were taking place that seemed to derail the case that they were working on. One such instance is that of the ballistics reports. We heard evidence at the time that the reports had multiple errors, which had a significant impact on whether or not they would be able to successfully prosecute the suspects that had been brought in for that particular case. We're hearing that the report was then corrected but backdated to conceal the subsequent errors. And then we're also hearing different evidence regarding witness B's possible alleged conduct in that era. But I'm thinking about some of the points that Captain Makgotloe has pointed out, Mfundo, and it seems that it is not as simple as mere errors just to allegedly sabotage the investigation, but it seems that these particular officers are under immense pressure. And you see him going through how times have changed, where he would work on cases dealing with just pistols, and now he's dealing with cases of AK-47s, and they're expected to deliver huge amounts of reports, or rather a substantial quantity of reports, which affects sometimes the quality of the work that they are producing. I think there's a bigger systemic issue that is being discussed by this particular witness about the status of these forensic labs, how under-resourced they are, and how much pressure these particular officers are under, and that the demand actually may outweigh the kind of resources they have. So that you see in several cases, it's only becoming obvious because the Vereeniging case is one of the cases that is high profile, but one can only imagine the kind of cases that don't receive the necessary attention that they need and that are not high profile because of the kind of pressures that this system is under. So this kind of testimony, which seeks to clarify the kind of issues that were brought up by witness A and B in the alleged interference that they saw in the Amman Swat murder, it rather brings up systemic issues, or rather possible reforms that the South African police services will need with respect to this particular kind of crime that you're seeing in the landscape that deals mostly with these high caliber rifles, and you have these kinds of under-resourced institutions that have to deliver quality reports in under 20 minutes sometimes to those particular commanders. So essentially what we've seen is critical evidence not only to clear up the issues surrounding the Amman Swat murder that saw a number of errors which he says are erroneous, but could have had a significant impact and resulted in the acquittal of the accused, but also raises systemic issues within the South African Police Service's ballistic forensic labs and some issues or shortcomings that the Commission will have to look at and recommend when they complete their work in order to ensure that these particular labs, which will become quite crucial to the fight against crime, particularly with these alleged criminal syndicates that use these high caliber rifles to carry out their various offenses, the kind of resources that will be needed to, I guess, fight that type of crime and ensure that those quality reports are issued out fast and they have no errors, and that these officers are able to work with the correct resources and not so much pressure when they conduct these reports. So that brings us to the end of Captain Makgotloe's testimony, and then tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. that is that highly anticipated evidence of that witness that successfully was granted their partially in-camera application that they made on Friday. But we know from the clues of the kind of circumstances that surround this evidence, it is directly dealing with alleged cartel member Katiso Katie Molefe and a particular officer that was seen on CCTV visiting his home and leaving with a bag of something. We don't know what it is, and we'll hopefully find out over the next few days what was taking place, what was the alleged nature of the relationship, and why a cop that is attached allegedly to the office of Shadrack Sabia was visiting the private home of alleged cartel member Katiso Katie Molefe, was seen on CCTV visiting that home and leaving with a white bag. All that and more tomorrow at 9:30 a.m.
All right, Canny, thank you very much for that comprehensive wrap. That's SABC News' reporter Canny Maphanga, who's been monitoring proceedings there at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry in Pretoria.